What's going on, you guys? Thursday edition of the Watch List. How you doing? You stumbled upon this program because you're looking to find what everyone's gonna be talking about every day: society, news, pop culture, sports. Not today. I got a lot of good politics today because it's been a fun day with these type of things. I'm excited about the things we're gonna go and talk about today because sometimes you need a couple pick-me-ups in the middle of all of the destruction and devastation of our world. And I'm glad you guys are here with me. Now, I'm gonna read y'all's comments. I know I was a little bit skimpy on that yesterday. Do not be discouraged. Please, I look forward to talking to you guys to see your points on these subjects because I think we're gonna trigger a lot of thoughts. And I love hearing what you guys have to say. Flying solo today, so no one's here, just me. I think we should get started. Republican Adam Kinzinger, he's outgoing now. He's also working on the January 6th committee. And as the RNC and Republicans around him continue to reject he and Liz Cheney for working on that committee, he's just going further and further into pushing back. And now he went on the Bulwark podcast and he's taken the gloves off when it comes to what he thinks about what Donald Trump's character really is.
This was you, Adam Kinzinger, on CNN being asked kind of an interesting question.
What will you tell Christian about Donald Trump?
I'm gonna tell him he was the worst president the United States of America ever had. He was a liar, he was a charlatan, and he was a man with a more fragile ego than anybody I've ever met, which the irony of it is, he walks around like the tough guy, but he's the one that gets more offended and wounded and sad than anybody I know. I'm also gonna tell him that it was the moment that I hope America hit the bottom of its slide towards authoritarianism.
Very poignant words there from Kinzinger talking. He mentioned Christian, the host mentioned Christian there, and that is Adam Kinzinger's infant son that he just had. So he's going to teach his son about exactly who Donald Trump was as president. And I mean, I think he knew firsthand, considering he works in Congress and he knows how things all go down. But this wasn't where he stopped. He continued on. Now, when he was also asked about what he thinks of the RNC censure and also how they said that things were just normal on January 6th, but specifically about the censure of him and Liz Cheney, he took off a few more gloves and talked about McCarthy.
I've been clear about my thoughts of Kevin McCarthy. He is not, even if he does somehow become speaker, he's going to have a good cell phone plan, because he will be calling Marjorie Taylor Greene every day, asking her what he can, what he can't do. I mean, my goodness, having the title of speaker, but then really being, subservient to a sophomore in Congress who's crazy, and a number of them. Why would you even want that? But that guy, has, even because he did it prior to other members starting to come out and defend Liz and I, he got out there real quick and said, basically, I'm all in with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
So the details of what he means there, in case you guys did forget, Kevin McCarthy has been standing and becoming the protector of people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, all these folks that have been saying these crazy things on the right from Congress, and then committee hearings get stripped from Marjorie Taylor Greene, Paul Gosar and his anime video about murdering AOC, all these things he either says nothing about or he openly defends, and then goes after Ilhan Omar and anyone else that he can in the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. So it seems like he's choosing sides, and if you keep siding with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was just the next puppet for Donald Trump, then you find yourself working for her. That's where Adam Kinzinger was going there. Now, what he was talking about as far as how cowardly McCarthy is, you might see here, because a reporter did try to ask McCarthy what he thought about that language from the RNC about how January 6th was such a normal protest day. This is what McCarthy did.
You know what, make an appointment in office, come on all the time, okay? It's not good to do interviews.
Whew, he's running down the hallways, running from that very simple question, whether or not he agrees with that. But after he caught his breath, Manu Raju of CNN did catch up with him and asked him again, and he had this answer.
Legitimate political discourse referred to January 6th, the RNC resolution. The RNC resolution last week referred to the events of January 6th as a legitimate political discourse. I'm wondering what you thought about it.
That's not correct with what the RNC was talking about. They were talking about, everybody knows anybody who broke in and caused damage. That was not called for. Those people, we've said from the very beginning, should be in jail. What they were talking about is the 6 RNC members who January 6th has subpoenaed, who weren't even here, who were in Florida that day.
So you're supporting that resolution?
No answer there on if he's in support of the resolution. But what he's trying to say, the RNC meant to say, but then they didn't really say, because they put out a statement and they actually said things in a statement from a political organization, didn't know what they were doing. They were talking about these 6 random RNC members. They were off somewhere else in Florida during that time. That's who they're talking about. Not all those people that ran up in the Capitol and should be arrested or shouldn't be, depending on the day. Now, since that answer made absolutely no damn sense, Manu gave him another chance and he asked him again. Watch.
Should they have said that in the resolution? Because they didn't say that at all in the resolution.
There was no nuance in that resolution.
I think had they explained out what they were talking to, this wouldn't be controversial at all, because they weren't referring to people who have broken into this building. Everyone understands.
So you support the resolution? You support it?
The RNC put out their resolution. I think they have a right to do their resolution and what they want to do.
And he fails again, because he has no wiggle room. He has nothing he can say that'll allow him to continue down the road of looking to become Speaker of the House, because he has to continue to follow behind Donald Trump, who continues to sabotage everywhere he goes, because Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump. And there's no real line of logical thinking. So to answer a question, you can't. and the RNC is following behind him too. So now we have all these different directions that they're going to try to justify what happened on the 6th and then justify what they call normal political discourse. It's too hard. It's just tough. Luckily, the actual speaker, Nancy Pelosi, she came through. I mean, she was tossing flames. Oh, she really let McCarthy have it. Watch this.
You've heard me say again and again that the Republicans seem to be having a limbo contest with themselves to see how low they can go. They seem to have reached rock bottom with their statement that what happened on January 6th was normal political discourse. I've also said that Republican country needs a strong Republican Party. They've made great contributions to our country. I say this to Republicans all the time. The Republicans can run, but they cannot hide from what happened on January 6th. More importantly, assault on our democracy. They can run, but they can't hide.
Oh, they're running scared now. They're having a limbo contest. I've always said Republicans need to be strong, have a great Republican Party. They can run, but they can't hide. Who's inspired by this? Who's listening to that long enough to actually get her to the end of that, I guess, rant, I guess, explanation, encouraging Republicans to have you guys to take your party back, have a strong Republican Party. That's telling people that the Republican Party actually has good ideas and they're kind of found their way where they're off the track right now. But when they get back around, they'll get back to their principles of cutting taxes for rich folks, billionaires, and also for every corporation they can find that's paid them to do so. That's what it is. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to say that instead. This is her fight back. This is pushing back. There's a reason why no one listens to these folks because this is her approach. ABC News even tried to help, and maybe you can see why Republicans like to say it's the media and the Dems. ABC News, this is how they described what she said there. The House Speaker directly blasted her Republican counterpart for repeatedly dodging questions on the resolution and what's unfolding as a defining moment for the GOP. Is it? Is it? I mean, we're getting it from everyone else actually making fun of them and seeing how he's running through the hallways. And how Manu Raju had to point out, hey, you didn't answer that question. That doesn't make any sense. There's no nuance in that statement that it was a normal political disagreement or discourse to that day. And that's what you get from the elected leaders, flipping pages, licking their finger and going, they can run, but they can't hide. That's why Adam Kinzinger's up there saying all this, because someone needs to say it, and it's a shame that it has to be him. Let's move to this story, because it's great. Speaking of crazed folks in the right wing of the Republican Party, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's upset and she's tired of this. I mean, you've heard this before. She's upset. She's upset. She's mad at Nancy Pelosi, and she's tired of people being spying on her in Congress. So she had something to say about it. Let's watch.
Not only do we have the DC jail, which is the DC gulag, but now we have Nancy Pelosi's Gazpacho police spying on members of Congress, spying on the legislative work that we do, spying on our staff, and spying on American citizens that want to come talk to their representatives. This government has turned into something it was never meant to be, and it's time to make it end.
It's time to bring an end to the Gazpacho police because they go around, they slang some soup on people. Next thing you got stains on your white shirt. What the hell? I'm looking for a clean lunch here. Obviously everyone's pointed out that she said the Gazpacho police when in fact it's the Gestapo. Let's go ahead and clear this up. So here's the Gestapo that she was again referring to, because there's nothing like some good Nazi terms when it comes to just general things that happen in the United States Congress. That's the Gestapo. Because yes, that makes a lot of sense. Even if she said it right, it makes no sense. Now also, this is Gazpacho, which she did point out. It's a cold tomato soup. I believe there's some garlic hints in there. It actually looks disgusting. I've smelled a Gazpacho before. It's not, I don't know, you guys are gonna disagree with me because people like soup. Soup is one of the least useful things in the world. Anyways, so there's that. But now, by the way, I don't know if we saw this because I saw this right before we came on. She then took to Twitter, or someone because you guys know she's been banned from Twitter. I saw this literally right before we came on. And this is on a Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene page, which is her, I guess her official page. And she put up this image that says marked safe from the Gazpacho police today with a cartoonish look of her face. So she's having fun with it now. Oh, good job, Marjorie. You can have fun with you then talking about the Gazpacho police. Now, this is what I'm concerned about. They're probably gonna give her credit for then making fun of herself after she mixed up the two terms. But we're not gonna still point out that she's calling normal processes within the US Congress the Gestapo. That's what she's saying, and that's what she continues to say. And it's still the point that she was making, no matter how much she wants to laugh at about herself and laugh at herself and joke. And look how lighthearted she is. Is this a game? Are we having fun? Will we keep talking about this and how people have actually died because they follow you in your stupidity? Let's just toss around more Nazi terms and say that's what's happening in our Congress today. But again, without caring of the millions of people who actually were killed and were actually persecuted under this types of regimes. It's fun and games. All I'm doing is raising money. I'm having a lot more fun now that I've been taken off of committees. And what would Kevin McCarthy say about this? He'd defend her. That's why we keep going through this over and over again. And now it's gotten to the point where we're used to it. And now she's funny. Oh, she makes these kinds of gaps and mistakes. Oh, what a good time we're all having. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm sorry I'm the downer on it. Everybody's gonna laugh about it today, and I'm tired of it. It's depressing. Maybe she'll be out of office once we come back and she gets a chance to get not reelected, but we'll see. Because as we've seen, she's the younger female Donald Trump. Remember Covfefe? He made all these kinds of mistakes and people just blew it off and said, oh, that's Donald. He's just funny. Oh, isn't he dumb? As he destroys the country, he's still around, still trying to destroy the country. Let's keep that in mind. Sorry, I'm sorry I wasn't happy enough on this one, but it was funny. It was funny. But we need to stop listening to her. Let's go to this next one, you guys, because you guys know I'm into cars. Let's watch.
Newly released dashcam video shows another frightening Tesla crash, this time in North Carolina. A Nash County Sheriff's Office patrol car is hit by a Tesla going nearly 70 miles per hour using the car's autopilot mode in August of 2020. That patrol car hitting a sheriff's deputy before rolling down into a nearby ditch. Officials tell our Raleigh affiliate WRAL the driver, a doctor, was watching a movie on his phone.
I lived down for a minute.
Well, this isn't the first time this happened. Now, in this particular incident, that driver's, he's a North Carolina doctor. His name is Devander Goli. He was arrested, obviously. And just the happenstance of him running into the police car with his self-driving car. So Goli was arrested and charged with the move over violation, as well as, quote, viewing a television device while driving. An internet search showed Goli's medical practice as permanently closed. That happened quickly. Also, by the way, as I mentioned, these things have happened. They continue to happen as people get into their Teslas, or I don't know if there's any other self-driving cars at this point yet, and go, this is great. I'm gonna sit back and watch a movie, maybe read a book, because that was what someone else did when they killed someone. So the National Highway Safety Administration, they identified at least 12 instances of major car crashes involving Tesla's autopilot. The agency opened a federal probe into the electric car giant as a result of these crashes, and Tesla was ordered to turn over its autopilot data to investigators. So while the NHTSA has confirmed only 12 crashes, CNN reporter Ana Cabrera said Wednesday that other crashes involving Tesla's autopilot have resulted in at least 17 injuries and 1 death. I believe that 1 death is the one that I remembered from the one particular guy that was reading a book while it was happening. We talked before, earlier on when we first started the show, about those the new Jetson style pilot and non-piloted car airplanes. They're like flying cars in a way, air taxis. And I was fascinated by it. But the one downside is I gotta sit in the back of this machine while someone else who's not there is driving it or piloting it. And in this case, I'm gonna sit back in the driver's seat of my Tesla and read a book, watch a movie while we drive into things. I always say it, man, when people don't feel like driving, don't drive. There's public transportation, there's Ubers and Lyfts. There's black cars. You're a doctor. You have a Tesla. Get a black car and have them drive you all over the place. Get a driver. Maybe I don't know how much he makes. But when you're killing people and running into cars, that cop narrowly escaped death there. How soon before this changes? I don't know, man. People are obsessed with Teslas. I see the coolness factor of them. I understand that, but just keep driving. Emily, our producer, just humble bragged to us yesterday about how she drives a stick shift. That's the most pure form of driving. Do that. You have to be doing something. I'm gonna put you on blast a little bit more, Emily. She said, and once I started driving a stick, I discovered that I have to pay attention to the road more, and I didn't realize how much I was looking down on my phone. By the way, it's not just you, Emily, it's me too. So I make sure that I try and put my phone in places where it's hard to kind of get to and it's an annoying place to get while I'm driving, because I would do the same thing. Not watch a movie, but maybe, check a text, see what Twitter has to say. I'm not gonna keep putting myself on blast. But no, and this is just one of those things I think needs to be shored up some kind of way, or eliminate this kind of technology until everyone has it, or it's a normal thing. And everybody has an autopilot, so at least they're feeling each other out and there's some kind of system. There's no system in place. By the way, this autopilot feature, let's point out here exactly what it is. According to the Tesla website, they're not designed to be completely autonomous. So they did point this out. So they have their disclaimer for people who then sit back and then watch their movies. Let's look at that. So autopilot advanced safety and convenience features are designed to assist you with the most burdensome parts of driving. Autopilot introduces new features and improves existing functionality to make your Tesla safer and more capable over time. Autopilot enables your car to steer, accelerate, and brake automatically within its lane. Current autopilot features require driver supervision and do not make the vehicle autonomous. Nobody reads that part. Come on. Just like the part when you turn your car, if you have a newer one, and the screen comes up and says, we're tracking everywhere you go and everything you say and everything you do. Since we have cameras in here now, and since we also have this map in here, we're tracking everywhere you're going and every destination you've inserted. And you have about 10 seconds to either accept or deny it. And if you deny it, you don't get all those features that you paid all that money for your car. So we accept it and then we ignore it. Happy times. Let's take our first break, you guys. When we get back, we've got some discussions about science when it comes to coronavirus and mask wearing and also vaccinations from what you would think would be someone who respects science. He doesn't. We'll do that when we come back.
While the Young Turks, the Friday show is gonna be awesome. We're gonna help us over here. Drop it.
We became the first ever daily online web television show.
No, the Constitution is the very core of America. The fact that we don't spy on American citizens, that we get a warrant, that we go to a judge, that we have a procedure, that we have due process, that is America.
On top of that, they go, why don't they just stay at their own schools? You gotta realize something. These schools suck. They want people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. You ain't got no straps, you ain't got no boots.
He lit these fires in trash bins all around town out of frustration.
99th most viewed channel today on YouTube.
The Shorties Award.
Best web host.
We passed 1 billion views.
Voice Award winner, news and information channel, The Young Turks. Oh, another Webby.
The Young Turks.
Can I curse?
Yeah!
For those of you watching on live stream, yes, we have adopted a pet iguana that showed up at our door.
The haunted version in the dark with our silhouettes.
Now let's get to the best line of the debate. And it was definitely the one against police.
I told you we were coming.
When you talk about it when it becomes a problem. Our lack of gun control is a problem.
Nonsense BS story is hurting that cause, and they need to wake up and recognize that they are being had by these people.
Biggest gang in America. Question is, how do we make sure that we blame the person who is dead? What kind of democracy is that?
We should never forget that the most powerful people in the world exploited the greatest tragedy in American history to go to war in a country that had a lot of oil.
Rolling thunder. That's what this show is.
Never in my life did I think I would like to see a dictator. But if there's going to be one, I want it to be Trump.
Tick-tock, tick-tock.
Where's the line? We've crossed every line you can imagine.
We are a socialist country. It's socialism for the rich.
Tick-tock, tick-tock.
You don't have to know the truth, just believe what they tell you.
There is no bounds to their monstrous hypocrisy.
Tick-tock.
I think we're gonna win the Senate in 2020. And I think we're gonna have the House, and I think we're gonna have the presidency.
Tick-tock.
And in 2020, we're going to clean your clock, and we're gonna run you out of town, and we're gonna have an actual democracy in this country.
November of 2020 could also be potentially the greatest day of our lives. Let us whisper of a dream.
Back to back that I like. Say hi to the camera.
I don't like this.
Watch list, everyone. Hi. Good morning. An afternoon, maybe for a lot of you. An evening for even those of you further east. I have a couple of comments to read from you all there. The Alien Gray. First off, these are TYT members. Thank you guys. Membership makes the world go round. The Alien Gray says, Jayar, give me some good news for my new trip around the sun. Oh, we've got it. I just have to make sure I don't talk too much so we can get to it. But happy birthday, the alien. We're all aliens, in my opinion. I had a theory I told my 10-year-old kid the other day, and my wife said, don't tell him that, because everyone said it before. Let's keep it real. We're the aliens. Okay, Democracy for Sale says, Emily sounds awesome. Yeah, Emily. I drive a standard as well. Exactly. Every car should be a manual transmission car so that you can drive it. If it doesn't start, because I had many of them that wouldn't, you can kick it in. It'll always work. Anyways, next from Twitch, how you guys doing over there? Twitch, Hunger Games 1989 says, so the Capitol Police are doing their job and checking up on members. Wasn't she the same one blaming Capitol Police on January 6th? Yes, she was, as many of the rest of them were. They're supposed to be protecting us. Nancy Pelosi told them not to. I thought she was the Gazpacho. Agnostic Sister says, LOL, Jayar, don't you eat chicken noodle when you're sick? No. I don't. I used to be forced to eat that when I was sick, but now I'm an adult and I don't do disgusting things that I was forced to do as a kid. Next, Fight for the Cause said, when I saw the Gazpacho police, I thought Marjorie Greene was going after Nancy for being Italian, but yeah, the soup is Spanish. So YouTube super chat, speaking of the Spanish soup, let's go straight to Gabby Marita. Thank you very much, Gabby, longtime watcher. We love you over here. In fairness, Gazpacho is also really disgusting. Thank you. And yes, I realize that saying this makes me a terrible Spaniard. Yes, it does, but you're welcome here. Also, yay, Solo Jayar. Thank you very much. Scotto Vos said, Solo Jayar is my favorite. We're getting there. I'm almost agreeing with you. I like talking to someone else, but this is great. The Cooper Dragon, I love that name, says, have $5 for an appropriate opinion on soup. Exactly. Hey, I'm winning the battle, you guys. I got soup on my side so far. I think it's 2-1 right now. And we're gonna get Mondays next. You guys are gonna love that too. One more, you guys, from RC Chick. Oh, this is in pounds. Thank you very much. So this is far east. Thank you, RC. I'm so glad Jayar said it. I've been dubious of self-driving cars for years. I just don't trust it. I'm changing minds on this show. Things are changing, things are moving. I just got a text from my older sister, Charmin, and she goes, I've never watched Jayar's show until now. It's actually really good. Of course it is, Charmin. What's wrong with you? Okay, next story. Sorry. Sometimes you got to talk to the big sister. You know, I gave her trouble my whole life. Let's get started with this next one. So we all know Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He nominated a very questionable person as the Surgeon General of the state, but it's probably not very surprising because he's just falling in line for exactly what we want Ron DeSantis to do when it comes to masking, vaccinations. His name is Dr. Joseph Ladapo. He's a physician and a professor at the University of Florida College of Medicine. Again, a physician and a professor at the University of Florida College of Medicine. Keep that in mind. So although he is this doctor, he's not very big on answering questions. So he was going through the confirmation process, and they asked him a few scientific questions. Let's see if he believes in that. Watch.
Do you believe vaccines work?
You're recognized for a series of answers.
Thank you, Senator. I consider vaccines in the same way that I consider other medical therapies. What we care about clinically is whether they are safe and effective. And that is the lens through which I evaluate all medical therapies.
Do you believe that vaccines in fighting against a pandemic like COVID-19 are effective?
You're recognized.
Thank you for your question, Senator. So, again, I would say that the question is a scientific one, and it's one that is answered with data. So the question is informed by data on specific outcomes and specific therapies. So that's the scientific question.
Mr. Chair, just a couple more follow-ups. Just a yes or no. Do vaccines work in fighting against COVID-19? Yes or no?
You're recognized.
Okay. Senator, I as a scientist, I am compelled to answer the scientific question. And I'd be happy to answer any specific scientific question that you have related to vaccines and COVID-19.
Scientifically, do the vaccines work against preventing COVID-19? Yes or no?
Recognized.
Okay. Well, thank you again, Senator. So, yes or no questions are not that easy to find in science.
Really? So he went through several delay tactics, and that was extraordinarily awkward and very telling, by the way. He did answer the question. No, I don't believe in science. No, or actually, if I do, I'm not allowed to say so, or else I won't be standing here in front of you, because that's not what Ron DeSantis brought me in here for. He brought me in here to say that science doesn't exist. He brought me here to say that, yeah, those masks and vaccines, they don't work, from a doctor and a medical professor. That's me. So by the way, that was from January 27th, his confirmation hearing, and those kinds of answers and those kinds of delays, which again, I wrote down multiple delays he wrote. Thank you, Senator. That's one delay many people always say when they don't want to answer the question. Thank you for your question again, Senator. And again, thank you, Senator. No, actually, he's not thanking her. He's like, how do I find a new way to not answer this question? And that last part he said was, in science, yes or no questions are hard to come by. No. In politics, yes or no answers are hard to come by. And that's what you're being, a politician, because you're working for one who's just trying to continue to push the same narrative so he can continue to get back in office, maybe run for president one day, and you're just the assist. Man, this is embarrassing. It's entirely embarrassing. But he has a history and a background when it comes to these things. So I'm sorry, some Democratic senators walked out. Let's look at that tweet really fast from the Florida Senate Democrats, because they were tired of hearing a lot of nothing from him. So they said they abstained and walked out from this sham of a confirmation hearing. Senate Democrats know Floridians deserve better than a doctor of disinformation as the top public health official of the state. Yes, they know. So by the way, this guy has background, as I pointed it out. He also was upset and made other folks upset when in October, he was asked to leave a meeting for not wearing a mask. And the Democratic senator there in the state, Tina Polsky, had to tell him why she needed him to wear the mask, as if you need to explain to someone. Let's go to some of these details from that. So Florida's top health official was asked to leave that meeting, this is back in October, after refusing to wear a mask at the office of a state senator who told him she had a serious medical condition. Now, these are some of those things, you can leave this up, you guys. This is one of those things where they're talking about why people shouldn't get vaccinated, because some people have these medical conditions. She said, I have a medical condition. Anyways, Senator Polsky told the AP that Ladapo and 2 aides were offered masks and asked to wear them when they arrived for the Wednesday meeting. She did not tell them that she had breast cancer, but that she had a serious condition. Polsky, who represents parts of Broward and Palm Beach, had not yet made her breast cancer diagnosis public. She doesn't have to. Why does she have to explain to you what specifically her medical condition is that doesn't allow her to have you breathing in her face in the time when she can't afford to catch this? No one can afford to catch this. I don't think anyone wants that inconvenience, but specifically in these cases, why does being an anti-masker and anti-vaxxer mean you have to then tell everyone else, I get to make you sick? She said she has a medical condition. She shouldn't have to make it public. It's a breast cancer medical condition and a diagnosis. Why does that have to be something that you get to control? I thought we're supposed to be in control of our own medical histories and oh man, my hippo rights, as they keep saying. This is annoying. So this is the guy that we keep seeing here, going through these ins and outs and back and forth and thinking he's slick. It's obvious that he doesn't know what he's doing and doesn't care to. Lastly, I want to point out that let's jump down to this fourth graph, you guys, because there was a former supervisor when he worked at UCLA, and he was asked what he thinks about this doctor having any other kind of position where he's in charge. Let's look at that. No. In my opinion, the people of Florida would be better served by a Surgeon General who grounds his policy decisions and recommendations in the best scientific evidence rather than opinions. I think he's way ahead of it. The supervisor also noted that Ladapo's outspoken resistance to various coronavirus mandates, saying Ladapo had, quote, created stress and acrimony at UCLA. Yeah, I think those are things that Ron DeSantis saw and he was like, this is my guy. I need a puppet like this. And there he is, strings attached, not answering questions. I think we all know what he really believes. Just say it, just say it. I'm here to make sure that we don't do anything. Just say it, that's what you're there for. Next story, this is one of my favorites of the day, with Vernon Jones and these guys down in Georgia. So, okay, listen, the Georgia Republican candidate, this is who he is. He was first running, Vernon Jones is running for Georgia governor in a crowded primary, and they're trying to get rid of Brian Kemp, because Brian Kemp didn't do everything that Donald Trump wanted him to do when it comes to saying Georgia didn't really elect Joe Biden. It all goes back to that. Remember that as we start this entire thing. So, Vernon Jones is running for governor. Donald Trump finds a new stooge to jump in and be the gubernatorial candidate to go against Kemp for his revenge tour. So Donald Trump want to make sure that he told Vernon Jones to get his ass out of the race and make sure he goes and runs for something else. Vernon Jones obliged. Vernon Jones then jumped into I think the 10th district congressional race. The problem with that is there's a whole bunch of other Republicans in there and they're cutthroat, and boy, are they unapologetically racist. And one of them, Michael Collins, released this ad on Vernon Jones.
What do you get when you cross a con man, a carpetbagger, and a Democrat with a rap sheet? You get Vernon Jones. Vernon Jones is a lifelong Democrat and career politician from DeKalb County. The same Vernon Jones accused of rape. The Vernon Jones accused of pushing a Republican county official. The Vernon Jones arrested for brandishing a firearm. The Vernon Jones guilty of campaign finance violations. The Vernon Jones investigated by a grand jury for misusing money on a personal security detail. The Vernon Jones who voted against a police pay increase and pro-life legislation. The Vernon Jones who embraced Barack Obama. The Vernon Jones found guilty of workplace hostility and reverse racism against white employees. The Vernon Jones who assaulted a widow. The Vernon Jones who a special grand jury said he was part of a culture of incompetence, fraud, and cronyism. Scandal-plagued Vernon Jones has been running for office as a Democrat since 1990. He's a lot of things: con man, charlatan, chameleon, criminal, but he's no conservative.
Damn. They're snatching Vernon Jones all over the place with those types of accusations. Now, if you think about some of those things that he went through, Vernon Jones, Collins thinks this is gonna stick for a reason. I think you can figure out what that reason is, because many of those things, accused of rape, finance violations, investigated, pro-life legislation. They did say Donald Trump was big on pro-life, or at least not caring about this pro-life stuff that they're talking about previous, because he was this big lib. Workplace hostility, racism, reverse kind, and incompetence. All of these things that Donald Trump was also accused of. Is there a reason why those things didn't stick to Donald Trump down in Georgia with his particular voters? But they think it'll stick to Vernon Jones? Can you think of the possible difference between these two guys? I'll let you guys figure that out as we move on. Now, by the way, Trump originally encouraged Vernon Jones to run for governor, which he told him to get his ass out of later. Watch this from Mar-a-Lago from last year.
And enjoy Mar-a-Lago, everybody. This is my friend. Everything good? Everything good? When are you announcing? When are you announcing? Next week. Good. We're gonna be listening.
There was Vernon Jones feeling good about himself because the former president then told him, you should run, when are you gonna run? Do it tomorrow, okay, do it tomorrow. He did it, then told him to leave. Now he's in this situation. So by the way, this is him, Vernon Jones released a statement everyone expected. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but basically he prayed and he considered and he decided he can best serve the people by going to run for Congress. I wonder how that's gonna work out for him. That was his statement, basically. Vernon Jones, we're gonna take back Georgia. I'm gonna go ahead, and by the way, he also said that David Perdue, who's the new Muppet in place for Donald Trump's grievances, he's a great guy. Before that, David Perdue was the worst possible candidate, according to Vernon Jones. But that changes all the time in politics. Sure. So after that, Trump followed through on that promise to endorse Vernon Jones. Watch.
Our generation actually has a voice to say who we want.
For the first time ever.
No, not that. Is it not there? Donald Trump endorsed him is the bottom line, you guys. Moving on to the next side, you guys. So after that, Vernon Jones did return this favor because once Donald Trump says, hey, he's my guy, Vernon Jones has to say, Donald Trump, that racist, he's actually my guy. So this is the tweet from Vernon Jones, because he needs to stand next to Donald Trump to make sure he launders Donald Trump's image. Donald Trump is such a quote racist that he's supporting the black man that the liberal media can't stand. Sounds like your opponents can't stand that black man. Establishment Republicans love to hate and the left can't stop. I wonder how that works. You're finding out how this whole thing works. Okay, so also finally, he responded. Vernon Jones did respond to what Michael Collins did say in that ad that was riddled with all of those accusations. He then tweeted, the same big lies and fat smears used against Donald J. Trump in 2015 and 2016 are used against me. I'm honored, but do better, Mike Collins. Hell, they even call me the Black Donald Trump. Bring it on, liars. How many back and forths are we gonna wait? Are we gonna bring up race or are we not gonna bring up race? Is it using the race card or is it not using the race card? Or is it only using it when you say Donald Trump is, I'm the Black Donald Trump? Sounds like race to me. I thought we're not supposed to talk about race, even though it's everywhere, dripping throughout this entire story. And you're definitely finding out for sure. Let's go to this last slate of what happened at the end of that ad. This is what they think about you, Vernon. Con man, charlatan, chameleon, and criminal. And it's odd, man, 25% of me feels bad for this guy. Because he thought it was gonna be different. He really thought that I'm gonna jump in this race, Donald Trump is gonna endorse me, and after that, they're gonna be like, it's gonna play the trumpets and say, welcome in, Vernon. They don't like you. There's a big reason they don't like you. And there's a big reason that they think you can't win. It's not those libs talking about race. Let's move on, and we're gonna take a break, you guys. And after we get back, we got Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz has changed his tune. He wants to make sure he pleases Tucker Carlson because he's sick of getting kicked around. We'll do that when we come back.
Our generation actually has a voice to say who we want.
For the first time ever, we are the biggest voting bloc in America.
One of the people we've been talking about for months and months will be the president of the United States for the next 4 years.
And for a lot of us, this is the first time that we're ever going to vote.
Do you have any idea how much of a difference 4 years makes?
The action that we take right now doesn't just affect us right now.
Discussion is important. But words aren't the only thing. You have to take action.
So that we can actually affect real change instead of just talking about it.
Get out there and take a part in making a difference.
Every voice really does matter, whether young or old, especially young people. Get out there and vote, damn it.
Now, more than ever, we can make a change.
I'm gonna vote because I want this country to be different.
I don't want the older generation to decide our future.
I want to make this world a better place for my son. You can make change.
Vote IRL.
Vote IRL.
Vote IRL.
Vote IRL.
Vote Earl.
Vote in real life.
Vote IRL.
Can we eat in here?
Joe Crowley is congressman from New York. He's very powerful, arguably one of the top Democrats in the House. But there's someone finally challenging him, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The election is today. If she wins, David beats Goliath.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has defeated Joe Crowley.
You made that happen. You're David. You just beat Goliath tonight. 2018 is a warm-up act. Wait till you get a load of 2020.
Wow, you guys, that was quick. It's a lot sooner on that second break. Because I was like, you know what? Forget these commercials, come back to me. Because I want to talk to you guys. Check this out. From TYT members, love you guys. Mickey C, the silver-haired dragon says, the old quote, thank you for your question, Senator, means I need time to think of how to avoid answering your question, 100%. Humana. Yes, that's exactly how it goes. And then he was smiling. It's one of those embarrassing moments when like the back of your head gets hot and you find yourself in front of the class trying to give you a book report and then everyone understands you've done none of the work. More books, please, says, and somehow they didn't expect that to happen when you didn't do the work. Twitch, more books, please, says this oddly reminds me of Dr. Ben Carson's confusing responses when he was in front of Congress. I thought he was just talking really slowly. I couldn't remember what he said. I gotta look it up again because I'm sure that was great. Cold Caliber says, why do they still not understand that saying reverse racism is a self-own and basically says that every white person is naturally racist? I hadn't actually thought about it that way. Excellent point. YouTube super chat, Richard O, Jayar's a natural, thank you. Doesn't let a lack of a video cue knock him off his step. I actually thought it did because you guys came back and I was going. Okay, Elizabeth Lovett says, never did make America great, can make us great, but I doubt politicians will have a part of it. The common people say to make the change, start by thinking of ourselves, not what they say. Thank you, Elizabeth. Love you guys commenting there. Yes, I got to you guys, I told you I would. I'm a man of my word. Now let's go to a man that's not really usually of his word, Ted Cruz. He can't really seem to find where he's gonna fall in. Ted Cruz just can't really find his flow. So if you guys remember, he was back, I think it was last month. He went on Tucker Carlson's show at the beginning of the year talking about everything from January 6th and how he egregiously called it terrorism. Let's watch.
We are approaching a solemn anniversary this week. And it is an anniversary of a violent terrorist attack on the Capitol.
So I guess I mean, there are a lot of dumb people in the Congress. You're not one of them. I think you're smarter than I am. And you never use words carelessly. And yet you called this a terror attack when by no definition was it a terror attack. That's a lie. You told that lie on purpose, and I'm wondering why you did.
Well, Tucker, thank you for having me on. When you aired your episode last night, I sent you a text shortly thereafter and said, listen, I'd like to go on because the way I phrased things yesterday, it was sloppy and it was frankly dumb. And
I don't buy that. Whoa. I don't buy that. Look, I've known you a long time, since before you went to the Senate. You were a Supreme Court contender. You take words as seriously as any man who's ever served in the Senate. And every word you repeated that phrase. I do not believe that you used that accidentally. I just don't.
So Tucker, as a result of my sloppy phrasing, it's caused a lot of people to misunderstand what I meant. Let me tell you what I meant to say. What I was referring to are the limited number of people who engaged in violent attacks against police officers. I wasn't saying that the thousands of peaceful protesters supporting Donald Trump are somehow terrorists. I wasn't saying the millions of patriots across the country supporting President Trump are terrorists, and that's what a lot of people have misunderstood that comment.
Wait a second, but wait, but hold on. What you just said doesn't make sense. So if somebody assaults a cop, he should be charged and go to jail. I couldn't agree more. We have said that for years. But that person's still not a terrorist.
That was sad and very embarrassing. So by the way, Ted Cruz, he found a new way to potentially get back into Tucker Carlson's good graces because Mitch McConnell did say this, by the way. It was yesterday, this is all going around now. It was a violent insurrection for the purpose of trying to prevent a peaceful transfer of power after a legitimately certified election from one administration to the next. That's what Mitch McConnell, Senate head of Republicans, told reporters. That's what it was. Ted Cruz said, oh yes, here's my opportunity. I can come back. Here's my chance. Here's Ted Cruz's comeback.
Yesterday, McConnell said that the January 6th was a violent insurrection. Do you agree with him that it was a violent insurrection?
The word insurrection is politically charged propaganda. It is happily used by Democrats and the corporate media. I think it is a mistake for Republicans to repeat the political propaganda of Democrats and the corporate media.
You notice Ted Cruz gives away, he's so awkward. He's like, I'm answering your question. Let me look at the camera so they can get this on the next piece. I think it's Democrats. I can't believe he wants to make sure that you see him talking because this is a setup. He can't, all he's thinking about is trying to get ahead again because now he's behind and everyone knows how ridiculous he is and how he has zero principles and he's just trying and no one really likes this guy. So now he texts Tucker Carlson, I'm sure, next, and he goes, Tucker, can I come back on your show again? Maybe I can clear things up. Maybe you'll be nice to me this time? No, he won't be. We know who you are. Let's go to my second favorite story of the day because sexy and ice. Let's go. The mayor of this small town, Hudson, Ohio, Craig Schubert, he voiced some concerns about ice fishing permits that could potentially happen in his town. And he had an odd reason for why he was against ice fishing. Watch.
If you open this up to ice fishing, while on the surface it sounds good, then what happens next year? Does someone come back and say, I want an ice shanty on Hudson Springs Park for X amount of time? And if you then allow ice fishing with shanties, then that leads to another problem. Prostitution. And now you got the police chief and the police department involved. Just data points to consider.
Okay. So I'm not in favor of shanties.
So let me see. Ice fishing, prostitution. Got it. All good. By the way, no one knows what the hell he's talking about, especially the guy sitting next to him, his fellow, I guess, councilman or someone who was there at the council meeting. Let's watch his reaction again.
Then what happens next year? Does someone come back and say, I want an ice shanty on Hudson Springs Park for X amount of time? And if you then allow ice fishing with shanties, then that leads to another problem. Prostitution. And now you got the police chief and the police department involved. Just data points to consider.
Unsurprisingly, our man Craig is also good buddies with Josh Mandel, who's the crazed right winger running for Senate out there in Ohio as well. And if you want awkward videos, watch this little exchange between these two.
Hey guys, we're here in the Akron area. I ran into tonight Mayor Craig Schubert. Craig is the mayor of Hudson. You might have seen him a few weeks ago. He's the mayor in Hudson, Ohio, who took on the school board and said to the school board there, because they were pushing all this inappropriate sexual stuff on little kids in the schools, He said, I'm gonna send the prosecutors after you, or you're gonna resign. And this guy's a hero of mine. He should be a hero of moms and dads and Judeo-Christian values and just traditional American values throughout this country. So I just wanted to give Craig, Mayor Schubert here, an opportunity to say hello to all my friends.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you.
Thanks, guys.
They went through all that. Hey, Craig, I just want to give you an opportunity to say hi. Hello. Bye. Okay, so by the way, really fast, I'm not gonna go through the details of it, but Craig apparently broke up this child pornography class that was taught to seniors in like an honor class where it was supplemental potential side reading that they could use for their work. And also they would have to be cleared to do so. And it wasn't child porn. It had some adult figures and thoughts in it. That's what he was breaking up. Again, it means nothing. All these things that they're breaking up within the schools that he should be a hero and praised for are actually nothing. So Craig Schubert is worried about sex every turn. You don't want to know what's potentially in his closet. And people who act like this as politicians, like ice fishing leads to prostitution. Kids learning in senior level classes, in AP type of classes, that could lead to child porn. Man, you got to get your mind off of this stuff, bro. You might be a little more calm and relaxed. Maybe, I don't know what you need to do. Maybe get an ice shanty. Maybe a prostitute will show up and help you out. I don't know, because no one else knows what you mean either. Neither does the guy sitting next to you. We have a couple minutes left, you guys. I'm so glad we have time left because I didn't do it yesterday. But every day is good news. I've got some.
I feel extremely blessed. I've been on such a long journey, and it was my goal to pursue acting. And I feel like I've received an honorary PhD, if you know what I mean. It's really not been easy to get to this point, but I feel extremely honored. Such a blessing that Hollywood will begin to recognize deaf talent and increase their deaf awareness. And I hope that it changes their perspective. Rather than thinking of deaf people as victims or folks to have sympathy about, it is a culture, it is a language. We have our own language and we have our own culture. And so now with this film Coda, I hope that folks out there are increasing their awareness. I feel thrilled. And the deaf community all over is also thrilled to see American Sign Language being captured on the big screen for the first time in so long. And it's really important to show hearing people what it's like as a fly on the wall and immerse themselves in deaf culture. This is really unforgettable. This is unforgettable.
Excellent. That's actor Troy Kotsur. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's the first deaf man to be nominated for an Oscar for that film Coda, as they were pointing out there. Look, you saw his excitement at the beginning there, falling out of his chair, literally an excitement for it. And you can't be anything but happy for the guy. Anytime barriers are broken, and we have the traditional ones that we like to see broken, you know, women, minorities, female minorities, all this, when it comes to these types of barriers to get through, we don't think about what we see as disabilities. And I can't say that he probably sees that he has got a disability. It's a communication, it's a language, as they pointed out. And we overlook it. I mean, I overlook it. I miss it too. There was one movie I watched, it just came to mind. It was another Netflix movie. And the whole movie was silent because they had to be quiet because these monsters, if they hear you, then they'll attack you. I wish I remember the name of this movie. I watch odd movies. But the entire movie was silent and they were pointing out how people who can't hear have to live like this. I thought it was fascinating. And maybe more of us should know about it. Maybe more of us should care or understand the things people may go through. And also be recognized when you're an actor of this caliber and you actually get nominated for your work, despite what we see as disabilities. It's wonderful. So congratulations, I hope he wins. Gotta be honest, because I don't watch the Oscars, but I hope he wins. That's it for the watch list today. I wanna thank you guys for joining me. It was a wonderful time. Oh, Nadas Maximus is talking to me, but maybe tomorrow. Until then, next, John Aderola is on with the Damage Report. And until then, I'll be watching.